I was 14. It was an average night, around 9 p.m. Me and my little cousin are at his house. I'm babysitting for the night while my mom and aunt are shopping, and my dad and uncle are at the movie theater. So we're sitting there and I was feeling really strange. Something was wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it, so I just kept watching TV with my cousin. The feeling wasn't going away, so I got up and walked to the back door to lock it. When I came back through the kitchen, I saw what was causing my weird feeling. In the window, there was a very decrepit and homeless-looking man, just staring into the window, looking at my cousin. Protective mode turned on. I pretended like I didn't see the guy, and I told my little cousin that we needed to go upstairs because our parents would be home soon and they wouldn't want him to be staying up late. So I went upstairs and put him to bed, knowing damn well that there was a man outside that wanted in. I was about 125 pounds and 5'8" at that time, and I played football for my school. If I remember correctly, I went downstairs and straight into the kitchen and grabbed one of those meat tenderizing hammers, turned back to the window where I saw him before. He was not there. I ran back to the front door and checked that it was locked. Both the deadbolt and the knob were locked. Ran back upstairs with my meat tenderizer and went into my cousin's room and sat down in front of the door. He asked me what I was doing, and I said that he didn't need to worry about it and that he should keep his head low. I called the cops, and then my dad and uncle. Cops would take half an hour, and my dad and uncle were 45 mins away. Then I hear a window shatter and the sound of heavy boots walking around on the main floor. I told my cousin to stay calm, hide under the covers, and to keep silent. I could hear the guy walking around downstairs. It was horrifying. I gripped that damn meat tenderizer and waited. About 5 minutes pass, and then I hear the boots walking upstairs. At this point, I was having a freaking heart attack. My cousin's door is no more than 10 feet from the stairs. I heard him opening the doors to my aunt and uncle's room, then the bathroom. He walked back downstairs, and I heard him open the door to the basement. 15 minutes later, the police showed up and burst into the house. Turned out the guy was loose from a mental hospital 1 province away. I nearly had to battle a mental case who was about 10 feet away from me and the wooden door that was between him and me. I was in the 7th grade. I was home alone in my house. My parents were gone for the day and it was a weekend. It was cold outside and I decided to do homework. I sat down at the kitchen table and laid out my books and notebook. To my left in the small house was the hallway. If you walk down the hallway on the right side is the bathroom and then my bedroom. On the left side of the hallway is my parents' bedroom and my brother's bedroom. That's it. Small house. My brother worked all the time and was a lot older, so he wasn't home either. The house was dead silent. I was working on homework and everything was fine, and I was enjoying the time alone. From the end of the hallway, a woman said my name. At first I thought that it's just an illusion because it was very quiet in the house. But I heard my name again. It was my childhood nickname. And only my family members knew my nickname, so it was certain that it was the voice of someone from my family. But who? No one was at home. My blood ran cold and I froze. I looked to my left to the end of the hallway and saw nothing. In one swift movement, I quietly closed my books and grabbed my jacket as my heart was in my throat. I started to cry with fear. I headed directly out the back door without looking back. I went to the garage from back door, sat and watched the back door to see if anyone came out of the house, although it would be impossible for anyone to be in the house other than myself, because my family were the only people who had been home all day. I sat there shivering for hours until my parents got home. As soon as they pulled into the driveway, I met them and told them what had happened. They checked the house and found nothing and said it was my imagination. My mother still lives in the house, and I live with her to help her now that she's elderly. My father died several years ago. Mom always heard Dad calling her name from the living room and talks about it often. She would go into the living room to ask him what he wanted. He hadn't called her name. She still says it's her imagination. I was living in my first apartment alone in college in 2015. It was a Friday night and I was on Skype playing video games with friends. It was like midnight and there was knock on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw someone from my complex I had spoken to a few times on the other side of the door, looking nervous and scared. I opened the door but kept the door chains on and asked him what was going on. He told me someone was passed out on the stairs and looked sick, and he had heard me talking on my Skype call through the door, so he knocked on my door for help. I went out into the hall with him and he showed me the person passed out in the stairs. It was my across-the-hall neighbor. He was obviously very, very drunk. The other guy at the complex reached down to help him up, and the neighbor pulled a messy swing at him. Missed completely. We talked him down and managed to get him up the stairs to his door, the drunk guy throwing sloppy swings every now and again at us. He took like 10 minutes finding the right key for his door. Every time we tried to help him, he would get angry and try to punch us. He got into his apartment, closed and locked the door, and we heard him collapse on the ground on the other side. We called the non-emergency line, wondering if this guy had alcohol poisoning or if he had drove home. No one was with him, so we had no idea how he got back home, and he seemed drunk enough for it to be bad. Non-emergency came out and banged on the door for a good while before the drunk guy managed to unlock it, and I heard an ambulance come and they took the drunk man to the hospital. I received a call from the police the next day saying he had to be hospitalized and his stomach pumped because of alcohol poisoning. Me and that other guy probably saved his life by helping him and getting him taken to a hospital. However, they also found a gun on this man. He was a criminal, not supposed to own a firearm, and definitely did not have a permit to carry it around. He came back with it on him from wherever he was drinking. The cops said it was probably a good thing he was as drunk as he was because he forgot he had a gun on him, so he was throwing sloppy punches instead of pulling a gun on us when he was consistently angry at us through the encounter. I definitely could have died that night.